that want to engage here, because the one thing I've learned moving to Jacksonville, and Chad and I have been here since June. I grew up in Atlanta, and the one thing that strikes me about Jacksonville is how devoted these fans are. You know, coming from outside of Jacksonville and listening to people that you follow me on Twitter and contact me other ways, you know, outside of Jacksonville, people think, oh, the attendance here isn't that great. The support for the team's low. Nobody will care if they move to Los Angeles or wherever. That's not true living here. The fans here want this to be a great team. They keep coming back for more despite what they're seeing on the field. I just asked on Twitter a little while ago, how do people feel about the coaching hires? And the responses are overwhelmingly optimistic. People have stuck by this team, and they just keep waiting and having faith that something good will happen.
Well, and you talk about that engagement and that communication. When was the last time Gene Smith came on this radio station, which is the most powerful entity when it comes to the sports media?
Never. I don't know. 5 years ago.
Exactly. And I think that's what fans want. Give a little of, again, this is, we're not out here to make you look bad. I mean, it's not like, 1010XL is the TMZ and the paparazzi, and we're going to go digging through your trash to try and catch you in a lie or find out something you did wrong 8 years ago. We want to help you. We want to help you connect with the community. Nothing is better for us than the Jaguars being popular and successful and having a ton of fans, because we're the conduit between the fans and the team. And Mularkey was such a cold fish and such a wallflower. He never gave you anything. Even if he came on the radio, he wouldn't really care what he had to say anyways. And Gene, like you said, was private at best, distant at worst. And I just hope that the new coaches, and I from what I heard from Bradley and the media members who have covered him in the past, there's going to be a greater engagement between him and the fans. And, obviously, David, and you talked about it before, it all comes down to whether you win, whether you lose, nothing else really matters. But, boy, it would be nice to have some people who really seem like they want to be in Jacksonville, and people who are approachable and you can kind of get to form some sort of relationship with.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't think it's fair to paint Mularkey and Smith with the same brush. As far as I'm concerned, Mularkey is much higher on the scale. But, not the Jaguars would schedule like 2 or maybe 3 Gene Smith press conferences a year. They'd have to.
That was pious.
I mean, I can see you do it occasionally, but Gene Smith's not the guy that you saw walking down the halls at Everbank Field and stopped and said, "Hey, Gene, what about this or what about that?" He wasn't the guy you saw after ball games, down in the locker room area, and just visiting and, hey, what do you think about this new rule, or what do you think about this? I mean, he made the effort to walk in tunnels, away from you. I mean, it was unbelievable. I talked to people who lived in his neighborhood, and they said, nobody in the neighborhood, from what they could tell, knew him. I mean, he didn't speak. Mm-hmm. You ride by, in the neighborhood, hey, he doesn't look at you. I mean, it's strange. And there's nothing, everybody should be nice. And I thought with the Jaguars talking about trying to connect more with the fans, here you've got a general manager, you're the only game in town, so to speak. And this guy could have been doing his job operating on Mars and sending it by satellite. Mm-hmm. And it just always bugged the hell out of me. And
that doesn't make him a bad guy, but in this day and age of social media and everything's on TV and practice is televised, fans, I think, have an expectation to have a greater connection with the people who are running their team. The professional team, the Jaguars, all of them, ask fans to be incredibly passionate and buy in and be all in and be engaged and be a part of us, and then they give nothing in return. That's not how a relationship works. And I hope the fan franchise relationship with Bradley and the new administration coming in is more even than it has been in the past.
Yeah, you've got a fan base here ready, willing, and able to embrace this team. Take advantage of that.
Yeah, and it is a great fan base who is just dying and starving for some good news, and hopefully good news has happened with the hiring of Gus Bradley as head coach, David Caldwell as general manager, and 2 coordinators this weekend, Jed Fish on the offensive side, Bob Babich on the defensive side. Coming up next, Dan Hicken will rejoin us. He is on his way to the Senior Bowl in Mobile. We'll get his opinions on the Jags' new coordinators and the championship games this past weekend. David Lamb, Christy Dosh, my name is Chad Scott, in for Jeff and Dan this morning on Sports Final Radio, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.